Good evening, my YouTube family. We're making caramel mini apples tonight, and I'm gonna go into details on what you need to do and how you need to prepare your apples to get it all ready for your caramel sauce. You will need a pot. You will need an apple, of course, of your choice. A melon ball scooper. Find this at Walmart or one of your local grocery stores for like $1.84 or so. You would also need some butter. Unsalted butter is what I have here. 1 stick. You need 1 cup of packed light brown sugar. You would need 1 can of 14-ounce sweet condensed milk. You would need half a cup of Karo syrup, a teaspoon of vanilla, a pinch of salt, your candy thermometer, and you will need a silicone spatula. You will also need parchment paper and a plate to set them on. You want to make sure you grease your parchment paper. In my case, I don't have any more parchment paper because I've been doing so many orders, I ran out. So I'm using plastic wrap on the plate. And what I'm going to do is spray this, or you can butter it with your butter so the caramel doesn't stick to the plastic. If you have foil paper, you can use foil paper too. Or if you don't have neither one, I suggest that you grease your surface really well so the caramel don't stick. Also optional, you will need some chocolate morsels if you want to drizzle your apples when you're done. And then I'm also gonna have some toffee pieces. This is just plain toffee, no chocolate with it. It's just plain toffee, and I love toffee. You will need your cake pop sticks, lollipop sticks, and the little bags for the apples to go in. So let's get started on what to do. Clean your apple really good. Dry it. Make sure it's completely dry. And what I'm going to do here is scoop out my apples with the bigger portion of the melon ball scoop. And what I'm going to do is place it straight down. And I'm going to just go straight down. And then I'm going to curve it. And take it out like so. It fell in the pot, so don't worry, not on the floor. And it should look like this. Soon when you carve it out, you want to place it on your cake pop stick. Like so. And you want to hurry up and get these into the freezer. See? Because if you don't, they will start to turn colors. You want to get as closest to the next portion as you can so you can get so many out of the apple. I like to make a print on mine first. See how I have a print on mine? And then I'll go ahead and start turning in it. That's how I get my perfect circle. And pull it out. And place your stick in like I said. And I'm going to keep doing that till I get all the apples out of, all the little circles out of this apple. And then we're going to place it in the freezer until we're ready to use it. Then we'll show you how to get the caramel sauce ready for your apples. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep getting this out, and then we'll show you what to do next. So now we have all the apples out of here. We got a total of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You can get 11 scoops out of 1 apple, depending on how big the apple is. So now we're going to get these apples into the freezer until we're ready to use them. The reason why I'm putting them in the freezer because the apple has juice in it. And if it's wet, it will not stick to the caramel. So you want to make sure you get those freeze. And when you take them out, before you get ready to dip, you want to pat them dry with a paper towel so they don't be wet when it's time to dip. So let's place these apples in the freezer and then we're going to start making our sauce. Okay, so I have my saucepan here. And what we're going to do is pour in our 1 cup of water. We're going to place in our 1 cup of brown sugar. We're going to pour in our 1/2 cup of Karo syrup. See, 1/2 cup. And I'm going to turn my stove on now to between 6 and 7. I'm going to place my butter in here. This was 1/2 stick. And for me to get a whole stick, I'm going to cut 1/2 of the old stick. And I'm not going to throw this away. I'm going to use that to place on my plastic. So this will complete my 1 stick of butter. So we're going to set that to the side. Then I'm going to put the rest. This was 1/2 a can. I used this yesterday. So I'm going to use the rest of this in here as well. Just take your spatula and scoop all of it out. A little bit spilled on my stove. Might start smoking. And you don't want to walk away from your mixture because if you do, it will start to burn. So you want to make sure you stay by it at all times. I'm going to give mine a little stir real quick. I'm going to finish getting my condensed milk in here. And I have my other 1/2 of the condensed milk that I'm going to place in here. You can use a bigger pot. I just prefer not to do that tonight. I wanted to use the smaller pot. Only because when it's time to dip it, I prefer to have this little pot because it's going to end up condensing down anyways. That sugar mixture, and it's going to be small. So it doesn't really matter if you got this small pot or not. Give that a mix around. Next, I'm going to add in a pinch of salt. I'm just going to pour it in my hand. You only need a pinch. I don't like to use 1/4 or a teaspoon because that's too much salt. See, that was just a pinch. And I just put the rest of it out. So now I have everything in the pot that I want to use. I have my stove up to medium-high heat. And I'm going to continue to keep this stirred. Remember I said do not walk away from it. You want to stay at your pot and keep it stirred. Once this butter starts to melt, you can add in your candy thermometer. You want to get your mixture up to 245 degrees Fahrenheit for the candy to start getting hardened a little bit. You don't want it to get it too hard. You just want that nice soft ball close to hard. I find that putting it up to hard ball past 250 is too hard for candy apples. So you don't want to put it up that high. All right. So we're going to keep this stirred until the butter melt. Once the butter melt, then we'll show you how to place your thermometer into the pot. So now my butter has melted in the pot. So I'm just going to keep stirring this until it get to my desired temperature. When it starts bubbling up some, that's when I'm going to stick my thermometer in there. I'm not going to stick it in there now. As you can see, my pot is kind of full, but that's okay. Just don't let that bother you. Now, at this point, you have two options. You can put your teaspoon of vanilla in here now, or you can put your teaspoon of vanilla in here when it's done bubbling. And then you set it to cool for like maybe 2 minutes or so, and then you want to stir it around and start dipping your apples. Remember I said pat dry before you dip them in this mixture. So I'm just going to keep stirring this, and once I start to see that it bubbles, then that's when I'll stick in my candy thermometer.